Grandpa, quick, tell me everything you know about World War One.
World War One? I fought in that. Of course, to enlist, I had to lie about my age.
Hey guys, welcome to another Hip Hughes lecture. World history, global history, not my specialty, but I can spew enough out for you to learn something. Today we're going to take a look in maybe 10 or 11, 12 minutes, a global perspective of World War I. We're going to keep it short and sweet and hopefully give you enough to kind of maybe light up your brain to recall some stuff or to learn at least some important vocabulary and the major flow of what happened in World War I so you can bang together an essay. And remember, always go to regentsprep.org, where I have a great link on my website, hiphughes.blogspot.com, so you can check out some other ways of studying. But nevertheless, World War I in like 10 minutes. Here we go. The best way to remember the causes of World War I. World War I, we're talking about 1914-15 to 1918-19, so it's about a 4-year war. Tens of millions of people are going to die in this war. It's a very hands-on, gritty, trench warfare, in-your-face war. I mean, you'd have 20,000 people die and they'd win, 18 feet of land. So it's just nuts. But in terms of why it happened, there's a very easy kind of anagram to learn. A word where each letter means something. I don't even know if that's an anagram, maybe. But nevertheless, I always remember the main spark of World War I. And I know a lot of teachers use this technique, so you can hang your hat on it. It's a tried and true method. Main is going to be the word, and here we go. M-A-I-N, boom. Main stands for militarism. And what that means is really, in Europe, there was a race to build weapons, and all the words are linked, so I'll say imperialism, but as nations were spreading out, they needed armies and navies to compete with each other. So all of the nations of Europe, Austria and Germany and England and France and Italy, and they're basically stockpiling. It's the difference between having a gang with no guns in town and 5 gangs with lots of guns. The more guns, the more potential for trouble. So M is for militarism. A is for the alliance system. And what that meant was pretty much that alliance means when you hook up with somebody, like your friends, right? So alliance system meant that everybody in Europe was pretty much aligned with another country. It's like, you have gangs, and that's the whole idea, right? Is that now you have gangs and everybody's in a gang. So if I, just use common sense here, guys. If I'm not in a gang, right, and I'm walking down the street, right, and someone punches me in the face, right, who do you have a fight with? Me. You could keep punching me in the face, probably. But if I'm in a gang and you punch me in the face, now, what's the problem? You might get away with punching me 2 more times tonight, but guess who's going to be at your house tomorrow? You don't want to see those guys are huge. The problem is that when something does happen, it's like a domino thing, like a house of cards. I shouldn't say domino because of the domino theory that's related to Vietnam and the Cold War. So it's like a house of cards. The alliance system is all set up, and all you need to do is kind of noogie or pluck someone's head, and one card goes away, and the system comes a-crashing down. I is for imperialism. I always have rubbed my belly when I think of imperialism because it reminds me of the hunger that nations had for raw materials and new markets. I could also mean industrialization. Nations were building up factories and, big businesses. And in order to be a successful factory, let's say you're going to be a railroad factory. I don't even know if there is such a thing. What do you need? Steel? Yeah, right. Rubber? I don't know. You don't have rubber trees in Birmingham, England, so you need to go get that rubber. But the problem is everybody wants the rubber, so you have kind of this natural competition that is developed out of industrialization, causing countries to be hungry, to seek raw materials, new markets to sell things, as well as bases, like military bases, so they can go back and be strong militarily, main militarism. The last word is nationalism. So I always bang on my chest when I think of nationalism because it reminds me of the King Kong concept. Kind of like all of the nations in the world think that they're the bomb, I'm the best, man. It's like, I can't use people because I might get in trouble, so I can't say that. You know who I'm talking about. Someone with a big fat head. If you have a lot of people in a room and they all got big fat heads, you have more of a chance for a fight. It's almost like militarism, alliance, imperialism, and nationalism are like the kindling of World War I. It's like I put like all this little dry wood on a big kind of plate, you know, on the ground. And all I really need is like a spark, and then ba-boom, it's going to go up in flames. The spark would be the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. And I won't go too much into the story, you might not want to know it, but basically Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated, I believe, by a Serbian. He was an Austrian prince, and I believe he was in Bosnia. And he was assassinated because of nationalism, because the Serbs didn't want to be part of it. It's complicated. But that one bullet that killed that one prince is what knocked those house of cards over. I don't know the exact order, I'll be honest with you, so I'll just make it up. But basically the idea is, once the Serbian shot the Austrian declared war on the Serbian. And then the Serbian was friends with Russia, so Russia declared war on the Austrian. And then once he did that, Germany was friends with Austria, so Germany declared war on Russia. And then England was like, you can't do that, you know, Russia, so I'm declaring war on you and your mama. And then basically you have World War I. The Great War is what it was called. It was for 3 or 4 years. Huge trench warfare. Tens of millions of people dead. Something like 1/8 of all French men were dead. And basically that war went on for a few years with no end in sight. And then as America got kind of wrapped up into that war, the sinking of the Lusitania, the Germans were using submarines like you wouldn't believe. They had really captured that technology. And they were blowing up ships that were coming from America because America was sending arms to, you know, England, the Allied powers. The Central powers are Austria, Germany, and Italy. So America was getting pissed because our citizens were being killed. So we basically said to Germany, if you keep doing that, you're going to have another enemy. The Zimmerman note was when Germany contacted Mexico. They wanted to get Mexico to kind of sneak up and attack us to keep us out. That pissed us off. So eventually the United States entered the war, like end of 1916, beginning of 1917, as Russia pulled out. Russia had the communist revolution, so they pulled out of the war, kind of leaving a hole, and we had to fill it. So, you know, the analogy is like we're going into a boxing match. It's like the 15th round, and the guy's like on the ground bleeding. And here we come in, and we just had, you know, Gatorade and a workout, and we're ready to go. And we really won that war. At the end of the war, the effects of World War I, basically everybody wanted to punish Germany. So the Treaty of Versailles was written as a very punishing kind of thing, kind of kicking Germany when it's down. Almost if you think of a chair on the ground and everybody just whopping on a chair. Germany was made to pay for the war. They took its land away. They humiliated it. Its nationalism was hurt. And the United States tried to not let that happen. Woodrow Wilson was president of the United States, and he came to Europe with 14 points, 14 ideas that would avoid this situation again. One of them was the League of Nations, kind of a family of countries around the world where we could settle disputes before they got to war status. All of his other ideas were pretty much rejected, self-determination and freedom of the seas. But even Woodrow Wilson, who came up with the idea, couldn't get the United States to join the League of Nations. It was rejected by the United States Senate, and the United States retreated back to isolationism. And the League of Nations couldn't be a success really without us. So the consequence of World War I, you want an effect? World War II, there you go. That Treaty of Versailles became what Hitler stood upon and led his nation through totalitarianism, fascism, and anti-Semitism into World War II, the Holocaust, and all of that awful genocidal war that's going to occur later on. So I think that's enough. I hope you got it. Basic concepts. The Central Powers are Austria, Germany, and Italy. The Allied powers are basically England, France, and the United States. And you should know the main spark. Can you do it? I'll give you a hand signal and see if you can do it. Military. Oh, I blew it. I take that back. M. How did you know it was militarism? A. Alliance system. I. Imperialism, industrialization also being related. N. Nationalism. Spark. assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. All right, guys, so where attention goes, energy flows. Do your best to give yourself authentic attention over to whatever you're learning. You would never play, football 80%. You would never play a guitar 70%. And you would never run a race 30% unless you didn't want to win. You want to win? Pay attention 100%. All right, guys. Ciao. Francisco Rinaldi.